All right, so here are my trades for today. I put in one fantasy order, which is a limit order at a level with a very small share size, just in case price got up to that level. Haven't really been successful with it to this extent until now, and I'll explain here. Um, so basically, Neo was looking weak here. I sort of looked at it as a downtrending for the near term right now. Um, Possibly is coming down to 18 or 19 here soon. And so yesterday it did what I thought was a breakdown from this little range at $21 and pulled back a little bit, and it pulled back even more in the morning, and that's why I put in an order. So I'll show you here on the 15-minute chart here why I liked $21. So you can see here $21 is the low of 2 days ago, and then it bounced and then it busted through it and sort of retested it and broke down through it yesterday. You can see 21 here was a level as well. So what I did was in the morning, while price was sort of selling off down here, I put in an order way up here saying, you know, if price will fill me up here, I'd like to get short. And so why not put in a few shares of an order up here? That way it'll just automatically get me in, and I can sort of add in as it starts to traverse down. The idea was, you know, if it came up to here to $20.70, it would most likely reject because you can see here we had that big 21, but then we have this really fresh level of $20.70, which was the pullback yesterday. And I guess the high of the pre-market, even though it did go up a little bit higher. So the idea was it'd come up and fill me, and then I would add in somewhere on a lower high to get that full move. And what's funny was it literally filled me and only went 1 cent higher and then turned around and went down. So it was a completely successful fantasy limit order. However, I didn't execute the rest of it correctly. So here, let's look at the 1 minute. So here is where it opened, and you can see here by about 9:50, it made its way all the way up to that 2070 level, and I'll mark it here, right there. And I wasn't even paying attention to it, and I didn't even notice that it had filled me. For some reason, I guess I was busy jumping around different stocks. I don't think I even noticed I was filled until somewhere in this area here. I noticed that I had some shares in Neo, and I came and looked, and then price was way down here, and I almost was confused for a second. I'm like, what happened? So it just shows you how kind of new I am to this idea. So it's pretty cool that it filled me like that, but the idea next is to add in, whether it's, you know, maybe adding in on this new 5-minute low and getting in a little bit more full size, risking up here, or you know, waiting for it to kind of come back a little bit more and then going lower. So I wasn't really sure what to do here, especially since it did come down so fast. So I just kept watching it go, go, go. Couldn't really add in, couldn't really even partial. It was so small. It was more like a practice thing. So I just thought, okay, if it pulls back as much as it can, I'll try and add in. And it did this double top around the daily level, made a new fresh low. So I got in short, risking just above here. And then it came all the way up. And it didn't do anything really. It didn't make a new low. It didn't come up to my high. So the only way I would have really been able to make some money with this is if it had continued down and then sort of broke yesterday's low and maybe gone to 19.5, which it could have done because it does have a 1.8 ATR. So it could have even gone down to 19 on the daily level. You can see here, it maybe could have gone down to these lows right here, 1936. So yeah, that seems like actually a pretty good level here because that aligns with this low here. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark that right there. So that would have been a good target had it broken down, and it probably will go down there in the next few days. So I just thought that was interesting. I mean, it looks cool on the um, 15-minute, and the high of today was $20.71, and I got filled at $20.70. So I got lucky on the placement of the order, but I think I don't know, it's still kind of cool. So my next trade was Walmart here. I don't really like what I ended up doing on this, but so it's basically at all-time high last few days. And if you look at the pivots here, yesterday it was also at all-time high, but it made a pullback here at R4, and so I felt like that might have been the beginning of its sort of bigger pullback. So it made a pullback yesterday, and then in the pre-market started to come up, and then came all the way up to that all-time high area here, and so I tried to short it here, and did get a decent pop down, but I didn't get the continuation. And you can see right here, here's the ATR, about $2.80. Price had ripped up and then failed, and then was coming up slowly. And so I got short, risking high of day, stopped me out. It went even higher and then got below, made a new 5-minute low. And I thought this was the perfect opportunity. Definitely chased it because it went down so fast. So I would have liked to gotten in on the break of that sort of green line there. And you can see even yesterday it made a bit of a double top, and that's when it broke down. So I really liked that. I felt like this was extra confirmation. You know, you had the high of the day, broke a few times, finally broke one more time and then failed, and then you had the break after that of this double top. I just really felt like this thing wasn't going to come back up, and it was worth chasing. And I think my stop was probably somewhere up here. So I do think I was around 1.5 R here. It just went down there so fast. I only took off a quarter and got some of that back in, and then it started to come down and then just went up and then just kept going. And I tried it one more time, and man, this thing was literally moving the opposite of the market. I mean, when the market was going up, this was going down. When the market was going down, this was going up. It was kind of fucked up. And then if you notice, it was a terrible like price action. It kept going, then broke all-time high with sort of some climactic volume, and then failed, got back under, but then went up again. I mean, and then just stayed here. I mean, this is literally what I don't want to happen. You know, you have a level and then it just ends up ripping through it multiple times and then just calms down right on the level. That's just terrible. So a couple things here that this is a NYSE stock. I don't trade NYSEs all that much recently, so I need to remember that they do not move as well. So that's one reason to either not trade it or just to lower my risk. Number two, this is all-time high. It's super strong, trending up. So even though I'm seeing some weakness yesterday, and I have a legit idea, it's still, you're going against the trend. You know, it's going to take a lot more to turn it around, and therefore need to either lower the risk or lower my expectations. And so when I got this, maybe I should have been thinking, you know what, this is good enough, because in my mind, really, this honestly could have been a good long. Yeah, this probably would have been good long if I would have been thinking about getting long and thinking this wasn't overextended and potentially had a move to go. This would have been a good entry for a long. So that's another thing. So overall, there were red flags that either told me I should have probably not tried it this many times, definitely not right here, and that I should have also lowered my risk a bit too on that. So it was a learning process there, learning experience. Okay, Apple. Apple sort of in a 3-day range. I guess you could say short term, it's a little more bearish and weak. Long term, it's a little more trending up. And this is sort of, to me, this might have been the sort of the bottoming of this pullback for the potential, range, and then the move back up. So I was slightly bullish And in the 15-minute chart here, you can look at the last 3 days. Nice range here, nice range here. I traded it well long. I got a really good trade long from this 15-minute low wick yesterday and got the majority of the move. So then today, or this morning, comes all the way down, opens, comes a little bit lower, and I tried to get long. And you can see here that it used that sort of that opening volume to really kind of rip through it. And then, so it did hold it, but that's just, I guess, some of the risk you take when you try to trade closer to the open. I don't know. When I look at the 1 minute here, okay, so yeah, so you can see all these daily levels here, right? All the last few days of the lows, and it comes down here pretty quickly, and then it wicks twice, and I'm just thinking, damn, that's a decent signal. We had the large bid at 170, it got filled. I do think that it was still there though, which is a sign of sort of a sign that it might go back down. So I did get long for sort of the break of this, and you can see it just didn't even break this 170.50. And so this whole time I was getting worried, noticing that the 170 bid staying there. So I got out of half, and then a few seconds later I got out of the rest of it. So I didn't lose much, and I'm really happy with how I did that because, I saw the red flags, thought about it for a few minutes, thought about the 170, the red flag there. These wicks, while they were decent, started to notice that maybe this is kind of a weird setup, and sure enough it was. You had a huge wick here, all these really big wicks. This just feels like algos. And honestly, Apple hasn't been the best trading stock for the last month or two anyway, so this was sort of one of those days. Just shows, with experience, you start to sort of notice some of those nuances when, algos are kind of moving it a bit more, and it's just not it's just not going to move like it should or like it could with good price action. Okay, so Twitter, I actually did try Twitter a little bit here. I thought I had something. I think it's a pretty decent setup here. You had the breakup. You had a couple days, 3 days of pretty good action, and some of these levels aligned. You had this $50 inflection here that was broken down yesterday, which would have been a good short. But then this $46.90, close to $47 was a really good support, right? It was support here. It respected it. So boom, that was a good level, good fresh level, 47. And so I thought, if it gets under 47, we're going to have a bigger continuation of this breakdown, right? Because we have this huge gap to fill, and it's already starting to get a bit weaker. So that was the thesis: get short. If I see a sign of weakness around 47. And here's what happened. So I had 3 ads. These are all pretty small. I was trying to build into a position, and the reason was because even though I liked the 40, this kind of green line here, /47, I liked how weak it was already. However, I didn't like that severity of a move, that severe of a move, because you are going to get some kind of pullback. But also, I just don't like that in general. I just don't like that kind of price action. That feels a little bit more algo-y, or just not as much of the price action I want. It doesn't look very healthy. So that's why I decided to add in with tiers instead of getting full, because I really didn't know exactly where I wanted to risk. I felt like even though these were good levels right here, the $47 / opening price VWAP, this was sort of the last area of where I would risk behind. And I wasn't willing to wait that much. You can see I got out and took a decent loss on it. And then it turned around and went down. But even then, it just didn't move that well for me. So it kind of makes sense that it didn't move that well. I didn't necessarily like the setup either. So I think there were some red flags in there too. It's just, you're not gonna be able to, there might always be some kind of red flag, and that's the art of it. You might still need to trade it, and it might still be a good trade. You just have to kind of weigh those decisions. So then my other good trade was Roblox here. I really liked this. So on the daily. Super downtrending week. It did make some new highs here, but then you can see it start to roll over here. I had a sort of right here, this low. And we had some volume yesterday. So there was a bit of a breakdown yesterday, and I shorted it from this 44.70 all day long down to $43. So I got a really good breakdown yesterday. So today was a retest of that breakdown area and then getting short again for another move. So it was a second day play. You can see here, here was the big breakdown where I shorted from. And we did get a pretty substantial move back, but that was all right because that sort of solidified these levels. You can see here this 45.50 was a good level, and then the next one was this 44.80. So price opened, sold off a bit, but came ripping up really fast and came to my level. So it just felt like a really good entry here. And I got in pretty tight, just risking high of day here. So let's go over it on the 1 minute. So kind of like that, Twitter, the way Twitter just moved down really fast. Roblox here, you can just see how just, 15 green candles in a row. But the difference between Twitter and Roblox is Roblox has been moving better. I traded it yesterday. It's been making sense. Whereas Twitter, everyone is still looking at it. There's still just so much volume. So this wasn't as much of a red flag. And also because this goes right up to the level that I understood. So came up here, made a consolidation. It even made a little high here with this wick on pretty good volume and then failed. So I just felt like this was sort of, this was the area. Now it was giving signals now. We didn't have one red candle the whole time. Now we have multiple red candles, a new high, and then it fails. We're getting a consolidation. So I risked pretty tight, only like 35 cents. ATR was 3.7, so it was a little less than 10% risk, so pretty tight, full 1R. I was a little nervous because I do prefer to get in normally on the back side, not the front side, or not trying to call the top like this. But once this happened, I felt good, started to get a little nervous here, and then this happened, and then really right when we got here, I just felt like there was too many confirmations now to tell me that this wasn't working. So I was going to hold at least to as close as I could get to 44 in VWAP. I even had an order, I think, as high as up here, but I just was willing to wait for this to get down here because I just felt like this was just such a good moving stock that made sense. Everything made sense as it went down. The more it was making sense, the more I was willing and comfortable to hold. And I took off a big 2/3 here and then another 25% here, and I made 4.5 R on it. Down here was a 6 R in terms of distance from what I risked, so that was pretty awesome. Like I said, though, I think if I trade this again, I might get stopped out a few more times if I try to enter like this. So I think, there's better spots. I think this is a better one because it's a new 5-minute low. Basically it hits the level, then I wait and see what happens. I see some battling, and then I get a new 5-minute low. That shows me it might be now on the backside. Now here is even better because then you get a retest, and then you can get in on the new 1-minute low, or you could even wait and get in a little bit further on a new 5-minute low again, and just risking this shoulder now and trying to get a similar risk reward, just not as far. But I think in the future, if I get this and I get sort of lucky and then this happens, I almost think that I need to get in on this new 1-minute low or somewhere in here and maybe even have a separate stop just for that really big move, just to get in a little bit heavier and make this risk worth even more. And actually, after I took this really big partial, I almost got in again here. Just felt like that was really fast, and I was probably going to get in too quick, and it was probably going to come all the way up to here. And And you can see here, I didn't have too much room to add in and keep my stop up there. So I didn't do that, but I did a good job of holding it for another good 50 cents and made it worth it. So this was one of my best trades of the week, I would say. Pretty much cut and dry. Everything that I want to see comes up to the level that is fresh from yesterday, and then gives really good lower highs. You know, spots to potentially add. It's respecting fresh levels. Doesn't ever really come back up here. It's one of those where you could even hold, and sometimes these keep going. I got out of like 5% here, but I almost held it and was just going to hold it because I just really didn't think it was going to come all the way back up. And, you know, this ended up being about the highest it went, which is a little bit of a bummer. I probably would have tried to hold and maybe even added in right here and gotten a new stop right here and tried to get maybe one more R towards 43. But overall, I'm really happy with this trade. If I can keep getting trades like this and making them worth it, it'll completely cover the losses on the other ones. And yeah. All right, here's my last trade. AMD really fucked it up. This is a pure like violation of my rules and discipline, and this is sort of my weakness still. And what I'm working on is, you know, I could tell earlier that there was a compression going on the markets and all the other stocks. And I've seen this a lot lately where we get a bit of a compression and it really is just, you get a little baby breakout before the bigger idea move. I've seen this numerous times on AMD where it sort of breaks out, just goes up to the high, and then there's the move, which is really from this to the bottom of the range. This is the better move. I've seen this a lot. So I tried to get in for some scalps in here, but knew that this could have happened, and this would have been an A setup in my opinion. Could have risked a little bit less, but I would have liked that. So I got a little FOMO-ish here, and then of course just just got weak here and felt like this was for sure going to 100. So I thought I'd get in a little bit and wait, and it just kept me waiting, and I kept thinking about things and getting in, getting out, thinking about it, losing on commissions and little paper cuts over and over and over, and it's just, I ended up losing like 2R here, and it just kind of ruined my day. So I'm gonna try to keep working on that and not have trades like this. You know, it's okay to have this once or twice in here, but to continue it, you know, that's what I need to be better at, is not continuing that, because I mean, there's a reason why it wasn't working and why I was doing this. I mean, look, it was doing it to everyone. I mean, imagine how many people were trying this and just getting stopped out and trying it over and over, and there's no continuation. I mean, look, stop people out this way and then stop people out this way and then stop people out this way. Holy shit. I mean, it was just getting, tons of people were getting got just like me. And there's a reason why I have this experience. It tells me, hey, when it's not going, you wait. And then when it starts just kind of not continuing, then that's just you know, just get out of there. It's not worth it. You know, you want to trade stocks that move, not that stay in this area and just fuck you over. All right, that's all I got.